More fire, more fire, more fire. You're now tuned in to 13soundsastrology.com. And I ain't saying peace to you. Give me my peace. You all been waiting for this moment. I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of Facebooks. People been like, when you going to drop the metaphysical Jesus video? And I was going to drop it a while back, but I'm glad I waited. Because now, here come the fire. See, this is the fire. Because in church, they teach you this whole fictional story about Jesus. They make Jesus look like he was some type of pussy, some type of a wimp, some type of a chump. And he just walked around with sackcloth and ashes, going around teaching the masses the truth. And one day, the powers that be came down on him, crucified him, took him out, and then they give you this as some type of a hero, some type of a hero, some type of an image. That's bullshit. That wasn't the real Jesus. That wasn't what he really did. Let's talk about the metaphysical Jesus. Let's talk about the metaphysical Jesus. See, in the Bible, when they talk about Jesus on a historical level, they're basing that all on another man. Basing it all on another man, basing it all on another system. And what happened is that those people that were successful at that time in conquering the movement that the real historical Jesus started, took and created a false history and overlaid that and called this Christianity. And they made the savior of Christianity the Christ. And they give you this as an image in this story, as an image, because they want you to believe in something that's weak. They want to put fear in you. That's what they want to do. They want to put fear in you. See, Jesus was a warrior. Jesus was a revolutionary. Jesus was all about change and transitioning. He challenged the status quo, the Sadducees, the Pharisees. These were your powers that be that wanted to supplant and stop the movement of Jesus because they knew that he was the rightful inheritor. That's right. He said, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the kingdom. But you got to take your peace in this world. They're not going to give it to you. You got to take it. And that's what they don't want people to know, especially the young people. So right now, if you turn on the television, you'll see a lot about the church losing followers. You see a lot of people don't really want to go to church. And this is even in the South, in the Bible Belt, in the Southern hemisphere of the Americas. This is where Christianity, it was very heightened and very successful. But what they don't want you to know is the truth. You see, you need to study the Inquisitions. You need to study the wars that took place. And these wars were very significant in taking out one movement and replacing it with another movement. And what happened is that those particular people that teach Christianity now, and they're all passive and they got their face all shaved and they got their suits on and oh, I believe in God and all of this. See, that same group of people historically were warriors, and they went to war with another group of people that represented a form of Gnosticism, Manichaeism. And this group of people that represented Gnosticism and Manichaeism ruled for a while. And when you read about the stories of Jesus, who I call Yeshua, it's really going into another history. You see, but what happened is that the Manichaeism and those people at the time, and the Gnostics, they didn't win the war. So what happened was that those particular people that were affiliated in what's now called the Catholic Church, they wrote the history because they won the war. But they don't tell you about the Inquisitions and the blood that they shed so that they could supplant the movement of Manichaeism. and the movement of Gnosticism, and to replace that with a more passive movement. But those people that were higher up in the ranks of the second movement, the movement that came to supplant Manichaeism, which was the original movement of the real historical Jesus, those particular people, they don't tell you the history of, they took up the sword and they went around killing innocent people, men and women and children, so that they could establish their movement. And that group of people, those assassins, because that's what they are, those assassins, they still exist today. And though they have power and control, they're always looking. They always got their ears open, because they're always looking for the return, the second coming, and the return of the true Jesus. And I'll use the term Jesus here because that's what most people are familiar with. But we know his real name. I have videos documenting his real name. Even in tones as Yeshua, but actually Manichaeism. You need to research Mani and Manichaeism, because the movement of Manichaeism is the real live movement of the Christ. And these adepts, these elite that were part of the movement of Manichaeism were warriors. They brought fire and they ruled for a while. But like I said, you had a group of people that came back and they conquered and they took over, and they eventually supplanted the movement of Manichaeism. And I believe that he was eventually beheaded. However, it was prophesied that there was going to be a second coming of this Christ figure, of this Heru. And many people, when they think about the second coming of Christ, they hear about the resurrection and the raising of the dead. There's various things that, and there's a job assignment and a script that this Jesus is supposed to fulfill. And you read about the resurrection, the raising of the dead. And this Jesus had the master's grip. He was going to be able to, the second coming of Jesus, he was going to be able to raise up the dead to life. And this is called the rapture. But what is all of this talking about? That's what I'm going to go into in this video. You see, it's very simple. And all of the Moors know what I'm talking about. Shout out to all of the Moors, because Jesus means justice. That's right. Jesus means justice. And when Jesus comes back, he comes back to get justice. And he's not going to stop until he gets justice. That's what it's all about. So you read about this passive Jesus, this milk-toad Jesus, and they crucify him. They do this to scare you, because they don't want to put that warrior. They're afraid of that warrior spirit that those Gnostics had. Those people, those elites that were a part of Mani's order, the Manichaeism's order. See, they fear that type of a spirit. So they want you to think, when Jesus comes back, they have you looking for a more passive figure, not even knowing that Jesus was the inheritor of the land. And he taught that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of the Most High. See, it has nothing to do with what you believe. It has nothing to do with, oh, I went to church on Sunday. The church that you're going to is the enemy, a lot of times, of the real, true following of this particular Jesus. So that's why I say more fire, more fire, more fire. So we have to bring the fire. And those particular people that support this movement, you just have to hit the like button. Because I know they taught that the revolution is not going to be televised, and it's going to all go down in secret, and a lot of people aren't going to see it. But that's not true. The revolution will be televised. The revolution is here, and the second coming of Jesus is here. And that's what they don't like to see. See, it's the return. The Moors are back, and the Moors are here. The true inheritors of the land own all the land mandates. So when you start hearing about the government being shut down, NFL players can't play football, the basketball player can't slam dunk his ball, the rapper can't get on stage and rap. Why is this happening? What's going on in the world right now? You're hearing about this stuff where they want to bring the New World Order through, and they want to use Obamacare to bring the New World Order through. Why is this happening? This is happening because there's a war going on. It's a silent war, but now it's about to become public. And a lot of it has to do with the Moors. This is our golden age. This is the return of the ancient ones. And I spoke about this when I first started YouTube and people thought I was playing. But now it's time. See, we are the inheritors of the land, and it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has nothing to do with the texture of your hair. It has something to do with the quality of your heart. What do you stand for? And that's what's going to determine as to whether or not you as an individual will see the hereafter, or the kingdom of God, or the Most High's kingdom being established here in this wretched world. You see, the first time the first few times I admit, we lost. When I say we, I'm talking about those particular people that represent the truth. We lost. We lost in the first event of Jesus, because no matter how you look at it, he was beheaded. We lost when Noble Drew Ali came, because he was murdered. We lost under Buddha. We lost under Confucius. Why? Because they didn't accept, the masses of the people did not accept the truth. And if the masses of the people do not want change, then the ancestors and those particular beings that rule over the kingdom will not manifest change, and we will be the losers. So the question is, people want to know about the metaphysical Jesus, and they want to know about the second coming and who's going to be saved and who are the chosen ones and all of this stuff. The chosen ones are the people. The power is in the people, but the people sell their birthrights out every day, and you sell your birthright out to people that don't give a fuck about you, to people that want to occupy your land illegally. And that's what they're doing, because the land belongs to the people. They can do nothing without the people. So when you talk about the second coming of Jesus, you have to accept the fact that you're going to have to partake in war. This is a revolution, and it will be YouTubeized. May not be televised, but it's actually even hitting the TV, actually, because you can turn on the TV and see this. But it will be YouTubeized, because Jesus taught that when he came back the second time, as my teacher taught me, brother, the Honorable Minister James taught me, that he would come back with a sword, and that sword will be dripping with blood, because Jesus is a warrior. And I say all that to say that 13signsastrology.com represents the true movement of Jesus, the true movement of Gnosticism. What is Gnosticism? What's the difference between Gnosticism and Manichaeism and what you would call Christianity? What did the real true Christians believe in versus what so-called Christians believe in now? See, what Christians believe in now is they believe in what's called God. They believe in what's called God. And they make you think that God is this abstract being that is passive and wants everybody to play. And they, like when you see the Jehovah's Witness pamphlets, you see the lions laying down with the lamb and all of that, and there's all peace and there's all love. And yes, we want it to be peace. So don't get it twisted. We all want peace, but no man and no woman can have peace without land. So it's all about land. And we don't, at this point, the true movement of Jesus and the true inheritors of this land do not have the land, because it's been stolen and pillaged. So I myself, Ram Hotep, let's go into this now. I myself, Ram Hotep, represents the true movement of Jesus. I am one of I'm not the inheritor, but I am one of the inheritors. On paper now, this is not made up on paper. I am one of the inheritors of the earth, of the true kingdom of the Most High. And when you talk about Manichaeism and you talk about Gnosticism, Gnosticism means to know. The Gnostics were dualists. The Gnostics believed in war and peace. You see, the Gnostics taught love and hate. This is where you get the concept of the Satanist from. The concept of the Satanist and that particular individual that is taught to hate his enemies and to war with his enemies comes from the Gnostic doctrine. In Christianity, in the watered down version of it, they teach you, love your enemies. Love your enemies. What is love? You don't know what love is. To them, when they say love your enemies, they're talking about a passive version of it. A passive version of love. They're talking about turning the other cheek and not doing something to somebody when they do something to you. They're talking about when a bully bullies you, just turn your back and run. Don't do anything. Don't say nothing to them. Just go about your business. You don't want to do nothing to the bully, because the bully is going to keep bothering you and keep bothering you. But the Gnostics believed in going to war. And you war with your enemies until they either give you what you want and they submit, or until you terminate them, you eradicate them. And this is where we are now. Am I teaching that we should go out and get guns? Those particular people that believe and promote the Gnostic doctrine, no. You don't need a gun. If you notice, the Moors carry swords anyway. Why would you need a gun? I'm not saying you should go get a gun. Am I teaching that you should go attack one that doesn't agree with you? No. But what I am saying is this: when you accept the teaching, the true teachings of Gnosticism, which is also more science in many tones, you accept in the fact that you're going to be attacked. Because when you accept this teaching, you are saying that I'm the true inheritors of the land, and those particular corporations, which means a false entity that is occupying this land, has to pay their dues. They got to pay up. And they don't want to do that. So what they're going to do is that they're going to declare war against you. They're going to have people stalk you. The government is going to target you. They're going to have people to try to murder you every single day. So therefore, if you're not on the path of the spiritual warrior, and if you're not willing to embrace that form of a doctrine, then you are not a true follower of the true Jesus, and you will not be one of the chosen ones. You will not be accepted into what is called the kingdom. So I want you to think over that. So you ask me again, what is the metaphysical Jesus? The metaphysical Jesus represents the inheritor, the sovereign, the king, the queen, the emperor, the empress. That's right. My people in China know what I'm talking about. There's only one emperor right now on this planet, which is in China, because of the fact that everybody has sold their birthrights out. There's very few kings and queens and princes legitimately, because people have sold their birthrights out. And now you have presidents. You see, you don't even have prime ministers anymore, hardly. You have these presidents that are figureheads. Research what a president is. A president is essentially, like my man KRS-One teaches you, he's the guy that the point man for the company. He's like the point guard on a basketball team. He's not the owner. Keep in mind, he's not the owner. He's not even the coach, which would be like the prime minister. The owner would be like the king. I'm gonna break it down in sports because that's what you guys like to watch. The owner would be the king. The prime minister would be the coach. He makes up the plays, things of that nature. Then you have the point guard, which will be the president. And they serve a role in the concept of corporate government. But the thing is that it's transitioning now, because every so many hundred years, it was prophesied that in 2013, he would return. That's why I named the website 13signsastrology.com, because when they say that he would return, it's talking about a group of people that would have to be primarily led up by the Moors and those patriots. Shout out to the patriots out there as well as the Moors, that would be led up by those Moors and those patriots that would not allow, they would say never again. And they would not allow these false entities, these Prince Hall Masons. That's right, I'll say it again. These Prince Hall Masons to occupy the land. You're your mother's son. You're calling yourself a bastard. That's what you're doing. You're saying you're not acknowledging the father. You're saying you're your mother's son. And you wonder why you can't get any blessings. And you wonder why you can't have any success here on this particular planet. It's because you sold out. You're a sellout. So I'm making this video. This is part 1 to a series on the metaphysical Jesus, because I want to hip you guys onto what the true teachings of what this man Yeshua, and you can research Manichaeism. I suggest you guys research that. I believe it's spelled Manichech. Manichaeism, Manichaeism. You research Mani, you research Gnosticism, and you research the demiurge. You see, we are all born into this body, and this body is called by the Gnostics the devil. This is called in the Moor Science Temple your lower self. This is the beast, and the lower self has to be tamed, because if the lower self isn't tamed, it will take over and subdue the planet. And that's what's been allowed to happen because the people have sold out their birthrights. However, the Gnostics also teach and believe that there is an elite group of people that would master and subdue their lower self, and they would put it up under submission to the higher self. And this is what would make them what would be called a god body. Arm, leg, arm, head. This is what would make you become an Allah in the flesh, a God in the person, a Yahweh. You research what a Yahweh is. Jehovah was a warrior. Jehovah was the God of war. Why? Because every day you're at war. Even when you master your body, then you're going to have to deal with the attacks that are going to come at you from those people that haven't mastered their flesh. See, the reason why 13 Signs Astrology gets attacked, the reason why other movements, the Moor Science Temple gets attacked, the Mormons get attacked, and different movements that know the secret teachings and the secret doctrine, is because of the fact that the Patriots as well, different people, is because of the fact that they know this secret teaching about mastering the body. And mastering what's called the Khat. That's what the Egyptians called it, the Khat, or the beast, the animal part of the self. And they knew that once you mastered that, you'll become an elite. But then your second challenge would be you would always have foes. And your second challenge would be to master the foes that would come at you. So in 1933, after we lost that time, the American government got smart. And they declared war on the sovereign. And they said that anyone that would claim the land and say that they're the inheritor of the land, that they would declare war against you. Not because you did anything wrong or anything like, it's not about right or wrong, it's about principle. And the government and the powers that occupy this land, which are those people that aren't really, see, they're weak. The people that are running it, the people that are occupying the land illegally are actually very weak. But they use tactics of manipulation, and they get people, real life people that are the inheritors of the land, to sell out their birthrights in exchange for the corporation, in exchange for fiat currency of what you call money, but it's not money. It's not money. You can listen to Ron Paul. He'll tell you all about that. It's not money. Shout out to Ron Paul. He tells you all about the Fed. It's nothing backing it, because they came and they hijacked and took all the gold from all the different lands and collected it. And the only way you're going to get it back is, first, you have to be able to trace yourself back, trace back your origins, and know who you are. But it's not going to stop there. It's not just about reading some books and studying and things of that nature. You're going to have to be willing to go to war. So I want to talk about what's happening with 13 Signs Astrology, and why I'm saying more fire, more fire, more fire. It's because we're up under attack. The banks, we got the government, the alphabet boys, we got mainly the Prince Hall Masons as well, all coming at 13 Signs Astrology. And they use black faces, and they get you to sell yourself out. They get you to sell yourself out. We got people stalking the king, the queen. We got queens in the movement as well too, stalking the king and the queen to try to get them to submit to some fake, false corporate entity. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I have to tell you about these things and make these things public. One thing, because it's a matter of public record, to let people know that we're being illegally extorted. They want to shut down all of our accounts. They want to shut down our website. They tried to shut it down last week. We got it back up. They don't want us to have anything. They try to steal our money. We have people that illegally come into our bank account, that work at the bank. They go around and tell all these different people how much money we have in our bank account. Every time it gets to a certain amount, they take the money out. They take the money out. They take the money out till it goes into the negatives. Then they charge you all these penalties and fees, and you call them and they act like they don't know what the fuck's going on. See, all of that ties back into one point. They know who I am. They know who I am in London. They know who I am in Africa. They know who I am in Saudi Arabia. They're dancing right now, supporting this movement. But you have the people that are brainwashed up under the false doctrine of Christianity. That's what it really, that's our main opponents. It's those people that believe in this false doctrine of Christianity, have been brainwashed by it, by some stuff that started 2,000 years ago, and you still believing in it, and you don't want to set the record straight, and you don't want to make things right. So every time one stands up, you try to 86 them. But this time it's not going to happen. Nature's not going to let it happen. Nature wouldn't have let it happen before had not the people sold themselves out and sold out their birthrights. So this is what 13th Signs Astrology and other movements as well. We're not the only, we get emails about other people that have a lot of secret enemies as well too. So it's not just us, but we are a minority. We definitely are a minority, but don't let that scare you, because the power is in the people. If 1% of the population can control 90% of the wealth, what makes you think 1% of the population as inheritors cannot control 90% of the land? And that's what it's about. So we have to denounce this fake system until we get justice. They have to barter and make a deal with us. They have to write and sign a treaty with us. And until that happens, there will be more government shutdowns, more fire, more murders. Every time you turn on the TV, you're going to see more and more stuff going on, because the Moors are back. And they're like roaches. Every time you kill one, more of them come. More of them come. So I have to do this segment and give the world a public notice, because next week Ramhotep is going to be engaging some of the big powers that be, some of the big time powers, so-called. I say so-called because we're the powers that be. We know who we are. But we have to engage these corporate paper soldiers. And we're going to go and engage in paper. They're paper terrorists. That's what they are. They're the paper terrorists. So we have to engage in a war of paperwork with them. However, it may get physical. You never know. Because we're taught in Manichaeism, in the doctrine of Manichaeism, if someone takes your land, you can't what? You can't eat, right? So if you can't eat, there's no money available, because there's no money in the print, and the sovereigns use money. They don't want you to use their fiat notes because they own those. So that's probably why they're attacking us in the banks. I could understand that. The banks don't want us to, they don't want to work with us. They don't want to give you any credit. So you got to take what's yours. You have to be a taker. And that's what I'm putting out on this video. And I'm willing to go public around the world to let people know that regardless to what happens, you saw this video. You know what I taught you. You know what I told you. I do plan on making more. But I don't know what's going to happen, like I said right now. But I do plan on making more, because I want to take you more into the doctrine of the metaphysical Jesus. But we have enemies, and they send enemies that look like us. And they send these Prince Halls and these people that used to be in the military that are thieves, that stole money themselves. They took stolen money and stimulus packages. All of that money came from monies that weren't there. All this fiat currency is basically a result of them constantly printing money. Now they done put themselves in debt. So then now they want to go and sacrifice the true inheritors of the land so that they can stimulate the economy. See, that's what the real economic stimulus is all about. So we have to combat that with Gnosticism, which means the knowledge. You have to know more. That's why I always say that everybody on my Facebook wants to know, why does Ramhotep say no more? Ramhotep says no more because you need to know who you are. That's what I'm saying when I say no more. And when I say no more, I'm not talking about the color of my skin. I'm not talking about that. Even though we have people that are black that want to attack us, those are our primary enemies. They don't want to see this become a success because they're allowing the animal or the cot or the beast rule over them. And they would rather keep partaking in their sport and play and keep partaking in their fake vanity world, in the world of false images where people drive around in cars that they don't own, that you owe payments on, and people have credit cards that are maxed out to the T just so they can look good. These are the type of people that are attacking the movement. Now, don't get me wrong. Banking and credit and things of that nature has its purpose. You're supposed to use credit to make more money, not to live off of and to look good. You see, but what happens is that they don't understand that. This group of people that is attacking me don't understand that, and they're mad because they know that the movement of 13signastrology.com is backed by the Moors. And they know that when the Moors rise up and take back the land, there will be no credit. You won't be able to do things off credit. Man is supposed to live off of the sweat of his brow, meaning that you have to go out and work and plant seeds. You have to be a sower. That's right, you have to be a sower. And you wait for the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is nature. Nature will give you back. You just keep sowing seeds, and nature will give you back what's yours. So it's finally here. Without further ado, the series of the Metaphysical G's. You're not going to see too much else coming through this channel. Every time I get on this channel, until this war is over, and that's what I'm declaring here now, until they make peace, and I'm talking about these Masons, until you contact me and you stop the stalking, the gang stalking that you're doing to the king and the queen. And you know who I'm talking about, because I have a queen here with me. Until you stop the stalking with the king and the queen. And I'm not talking about my wife, because wife means slave. I'm gonna put that out there right now. You're saying, you talking about your wife? No, I'm not using these terms, and I really shouldn't even be using the term king and queen. So let me correct myself. Let me clear my throat, as they say. Until you stop the stalking of the emperor and the empress, we will continue to put these videos out. And we will continue to teach the people sovereignty, how to take back the land. And we will continue to teach the people that until you barter and broker an agreement. You know what you guys are doing. And I'm talking about, these are high entities. See, when you turn on the television, you see this stuff about the banks, Bank of America going through stuff, and all of these different other entities that are going through different problems right now. Know that that's because of the Moors. When you turn on the television and you're really not seeing a lot of your entertainment and your musicians and things like that, and all the things that they use to keep you distracted from the truth, know that that's because of the Moors. And we are at war right now. And to a point where they want us to leave our land. They say, leave your land and go back up north. They're telling us this stuff now. Like, this is really, really happening from high up entities. I'm talking about people that sit in seats of supposed to be the mayor and, you know, and things of that nature. And then these false presidents of different organizations, they to the point where they don't want to even take our monies when we go stay in hotels. They want to extort us for our monies and then take our monies and then say, oh, we don't want you to stay here. You have to leave. Why? Because you're Moor. Yeah, the peace officer came and knocked on a door at a particular hotel I was at, of which I won't say the name for different specific reasons, and told me that I need to leave this hotel. Keep in mind, I'm paying you money and doing business fairly with you. I could easily occupy myself. I don't have to leave anything, because this is my land. The land, the buildings that you built all of this stuff on, the land that I'm standing on right now, here on this segment, this is my land. I don't have to leave that. But I'm still doing business the fair way, you know, trading and commerce, trying to be a peacemaker. And you tell us we got to leave. And the more success we get, you want to take monies and take money. So now we're declaring war. This is what I'm saying. We are declaring war publicly now. So until you barter an agreement, until you get your worshipful master to sit down at the table and talk with the emperor and the empress, the worst is yet to come. Because nature, see, I've meditated with my ancestors and I went into a deep meditation, and nature is not for you this time. You're not going to be the winner this time. And that's why I can do a segment like this with confidence, because you're going to give us back what's ours. We know what you stole, and that's why you want to do these things or whatever and try to supplant 13 signs astrology and try to make us look like it's just some clown movement with some crazy guy that some people are even labeling as saying that I'm some form of a drug addict or some shit like that. Yeah, I get the emails. I know what you guys are saying. I'm of sane, sound mind and body, and you're dealing with a spiritual warrior, because not only can I go to war with you with paperwork, I could kill you with the paperwork, but I could use my hands as well, which are weapons that the Creator gave to me for this very purpose. And like I said, a spiritual master won't really have to use his hands. A spiritual warrior and a spiritual master won't have to use her or his hands. We won't move. We can beat you on the plane of thought. Even this weekend, we had several attempts on our life. I had a hitman that looked like he worked for the damn alphabet boys that stalked me on public transportation to try to find out my location so that they can stalk me. This is what they do, because they declare war on the sovereign. This is they made a declaration, and I'm going to get the paperwork and show you guys and show and prove to you guys everything that's going on or whatever, as far as I'm gonna show you the paperwork and the laws that they've signed in back in the 30s after they slayed one of our patriarchs, Noble Drew Ali. They signed certain things in the law saying that when a sovereign stands up, they have the right to declare war against you. So that's why we're going to put a claim in on you now, because we have to use our courts. Those are our courts. And they say they're going to lock you up and they're going to do things like they can't detain you and do anything to you and put you in any type of, basically, if they lock you up, that's called kidnapping. They can't kidnap you. That's illegal. So if anyone out there that's going through a similar situation, don't let them scare you, because it's a mind game. Don't let them send you this false paperwork. You send it back to them. You always respond. When they send you a letter saying, if you don't respond to do X, Y, Z, we're going to do that. That's a threat. You send them back and say, no, if you don't respond to this, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. You threaten them back. That's how you engage in this war. You play a tennis game. You see, when you go to court, like my man Jordan Maxwell always teaches, the goal of tennis is just like tennis. It's to put the ball back into the other man's court. And you play, basically, that's why it's called a racket. Politics and going to court and things like that is a racket, like my grandfather always taught me. And peace to him, because he was the Osiris of this, and I'm the inheritor. He passed the land on to me. My grandfather owned the majority of the land that I'm standing on right now. My grandfather owned various states, and that's what it's about. And they know that, and it was passed on to me. And instead of them doing business, if you want to occupy the land, that's fine, but you're going to do it the right way. You're not going to do no sacrifices. See, that's what a sacrifice is. They got you guys believing in sacrifice and shit, thinking that that's cool and all of that, and that's a part of the occult. A sacrifice is nothing but a sophisticated way of going to war with somebody, and it's a murder. And a sacrifice means to save. They're trying to save themselves and sacrifice you for them so they don't have to go. And you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to do real life business. You're going to sign treaties because you came to this land and you did it before. And they use faces that were of my color. That's why I'm saying it's not even a color game, because even back in the past, when they came to America, you read about the wars that took place between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. What people fail to realize is that it's deeper than that. Those wars that took place between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims were people that were called foreigners, which were the Pilgrims. Some of them may have looked like me, Africans and all of that, the Indians and all of that, Europeans. They came over to this land, into Native Americans' land, and they began to pillage. It's called pillage. And they began to take and take and take and take. And then after so long, they replaced the real Native Americans with themselves. So you see the image of a Native American, you think the American is some guy that has a pale face with long hair, or some guy that has red skin with long stringy hair. And I'm not saying that there weren't Native Americans that didn't look like that. However, what I am saying is that there were also Native Americans that looked just like me. Many Native Americans with broad features, with a broad nose and things of that nature. So they got you thinking that you were African American. They got you calling yourself an African American so that you could become a foreigner, so that you can go to war against me. And that's what you Prince Halls are doing, because you guys consider yourselves black. We're not black. We're not colored, which means dyed or stained. There's nothing stained about me. And we're not African Americans. We're not Ethiopians. We are Moors. Moorish Americans. That's what we are. Americans. That's another way of putting it. And I have the paperwork to prove it. I have my ID. I'm a Grand Sheik. Was given that even within the Moorish Science Temple. See, I'm a legitimate heir on many levels, because I was made a Grand Sheik back in 2006. That's right. So you're dealing with a Supreme Grand Sheik right here. Well, I'm not a Supreme, excuse me. But you're dealing with a Grand Sheik right here. Well, I will soon be a Supreme Grand Sheik. And you're dealing with, and then on another level, you're dealing with an Emperor. You're dealing with the Emperor, because my grandfather signed the land over and gave the land to me. And you got lawyers and attorneys and people that want to, third-party agencies that want to speak for me and want to go to court in my name so that they could take land. That's right. They had a court case about me a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't there. And the only reason why I found out about it was because I got people on the inside that told me, and they declared me dead. And they want to hijack my social security number and give it to other people, because they know that the social security number ties back into the treasury bonds, and the treasury bonds tie back into the land. So they declared me dead. See, I've been an emperor since I was 14. They declared me dead when I was 14 years old. That's right. They declared me dead when I was 14 years old. What do you mean, Ramhotep? They declared you dead. You're alive right now. What the hell are you talking about right here? Like, this video is crazy. Just go keep watching this video over and over again. It'll soak in. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more parts. This is an introduction. You know me, I just spill it all out in the beginning. Then I'm going to show you the proof. But it took me out the system, essentially, is what they did, and declared me dead. Why did they do this? They did this so that they could steal from me, and they began to sign corporations. A lot of corporations signed their name over. My birth certificate is connected to many corporations, just like the Empress Bernadice, another empress. Shout out to her. That's in a nursing home somewhere. That they sent all these agents. They attacked her because she won land, just like I won land. I'm the inheritor. I won a lot of land. Why? Because I'm the inheritor and I was born with that. And she won land, so they sent agents and alphabet boys out to attack her so that they could pillage and take the land back. But as long as you got the knowledge in your head, that's all that matters, because you pass that on to the children and they will finish the fight. So it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop, regardless to if the voice is here or not. But the voices are not even going to stop, because I'm too intelligent to let them do that to me. I'm way too intelligent to let them do that to me. So they want to try, right now they're trying to crucify me through paper. It's like it's actually a ritual when they crucify you. And it's a privilege. When they crucify you, they do it in public. So they tell all of these people how much money I got in my bank account. They call me a dead man. They say that I'm broke. I can't make it. I go into a barber shop. They don't want to cut your hair. I go check into a hotel. They don't really want me to check in. If I use my credit card, they charge more money than what they're supposed to charge. They hold on to the money for as long as they can so that they can get me to default on my credit card and bank accounts and to make me look like a deadbeat. They say that I have children that I'm not taking care of. However, they kidnap my children. They don't tell me where my children are at. This is what I'm going through. Oh yeah. They kidnap my children and they don't tell me where my children are at, but then they try to label me a deadbeat. They try to say that I was married and I owe my wife alimony, and the wife means slave. I'm not married. That's all past the point. Like I said, I have several empresses that are in my cipher, and that's it. That's where it stops. It's not about being married and things of that nature. So what I had to do is that I had to recreate myself. I had to recreate myself because, like I said, I was declared dead at the age of 14. So that's when I became a king. And any king has to fight for what's his. You're not going to get they're not going to give it to you. You think these people that are sitting on the throne now got there by osmosis and they just gave it to them and it's just some song and dance, and then one day the king of pop, you know, you hear all the king of this, the king LeBron, King James, and all of this, the king of basketball, the king of football. You hear about all this stuff, but you think these people got to where they were at without a fight? No. But this is the ultimate fight. You see, because the emperor sits over the kings. You see, you have ranks. When you deal with government, you have emperors, kings, duchess, dukes. You need to learn about these tiers. These are different levels. And I just happen to be the emperor because the land is in my name, and I know that. I'm of sound mind and body. So I'm going to close this video out with this, because this is not really for entertainment. This video wasn't. This video is actually a public notice that I'm serving to people that are consider themselves. You want to be a Freemason? That's fine. If you want to sell out your father, that's fine. If you want to be your mother's son or whatever and basically make your mother a widow, that's fine. Because that's where they got it from. A set, they murdered. They're not going to tell you the whole story. This Freemasonry is based on the story of Set, Asar, and Satuk, aka Set, Osiris, and Isis. And Isis became a widow because they don't tell you about Set, which represented the devil, which represented the body and the flesh. He didn't agree with Osiris. Osiris was a peacemaker. Osiris reigned and he established the kingdom, and he reigned for 20 years in peace, meaning that up under his leadership there were no wars. See, this represents the true Gnostics. But one day you had this character called Set, and he realized that these guys were so passive, these guys were so loving, these guys were so free, that he could just come in and start murking 86 people. And by him 86 and murking people, he could take the land because he knew they wasn't going to challenge him anyway. So that's what happened. And that's why Isis or Set became a widow. Isis or Set became a widow because her husband was murdered by her brother. See, it was all a blood war. That's the funny thing about it. It's just like the same thing that's going on now. These are my brothers that are trying to kill me, regardless of their skin color. The Masons, you guys are my brothers, but you guys want to kill me. Why? Because I represent Asar, but I'm not Asar though. That was my grandfather. See, they actually murdered my grandfather to take the land. This really happened. True story. And oh yeah, the RICO law is in full effect. That's right. The RICO law is in full effect. And they murdered my grandfather to take the land back in the 80s. See, this really happened. The land was passed on to me before it happened. He taught me at the age of 5 years old how to go through this thing. See, he put the bug in my ear at a young age, and I always remember what he taught me. I was 8 years old when he passed, but he didn't pass before he could give me the knowledge. And he also taught my mother, which is one of the empresses that I'm speaking of that are here with me. And he taught her exactly what to do and how to do it, exactly how to move. He told her never to join and to sell out your father and get up under some Eastern Star or some Masonic order. And that's what this is all about. We never let Masons teach from our rostrums. We are Moors. That's what we are, patriots. You can call us that as well. So this serves as a public notice to let you know that I know who I am and I know who you are. And I'm not Asar, Osiris. I'm Horus, Hedu. If you want to know who I am, I'm Hedu. That's the role that I play in this particular matrix. Because like in a few videos back, I did a video saying you either going to play the game or you're either going to escape the matrix or you're going to play the game. In order to escape the matrix, you're going to have to 86 yourself. And ain't no Ramhotep 86 or shit, because my grandfather was murked. So why would I 86 myself? They murdered my grandfather, so why would I allow it to happen? And then even came in and attacked my father. They even attacked my father, but it's really about my grandfather. He was the real hero. Because my father was not 100% right. So he allowed the beast, to take over certain aspects. And I'm saying this on camera because I don't care. Because I've told this to him publicly. He's allowed his animal part of his body to overcome him on a lot of different levels. So, I mean, we can't side with you in wrong though. And that's wrong. You don't allow the flesh or the earth. You were created from this material called the earth, but you were given the abilities to power your mind to master that. So he allowed that to take over him. Back to my point. So I'm Heru. That's who I am. And I'm not a Mason. I'm not my mother's son. I'm my father's. That's right. I'm my father's son. My grandfather's son. Not to say I'm not paying homage to my mother, because it's not about that. Because I know a lot of women are going to try. They're going to send their agents too. That's another thing. They got agents out here that gonna leave comments and try to throw the young people off and start talking about the Masons and, oh, it don't mean that. Don't listen to them. He's just some guy that think he's some pimp or some alpha male guy up here just talking or whatever. And don't listen to that. That's not what the Masons mean. That's giving homage to the queen and to the mother and all. No, that's saying that your mother was a widow and that you don't even know who you're a bastard when you call yourself that. You're not paying homage to the Father. That's why Jesus said, my Father who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is up in the Most High, in the kingdom of the Most High. And the ancestors, see, they already have it right up there in the kingdom of the Most High. When you talk about what is the kingdom of the Most High, that's the realm of the ancestors. You got to study the tree of life. There's different realms. There's the realm of Malakuth, and then you have Kether and different levels on the tree of life. And the ancestors exist in the higher realms. So you're going to start to see me teach a lot about the Kabbalah, because in order for you to understand this, you have to research the tree of life. The ancestors exist in Kether. And that kingdom will come down to this lowly state. And the lower self will be conquered by the higher self or the higher kingdom. But it will happen in a war that cannot be explained in words, according to our patriarch. This war cannot even be explained in words. And it's so true because I'm living it right now. So they're trying to shut us down. Group of my sons, they my sons, that's all they are. Trying to shut us down. Group of Eastern Stars, chicks with dicks. Too, they right with them. And they selling out their birthrights. Instead of being the empress and the queen that you could be, especially the empress that you could be, you would rather sell yourself out to some fraternal order and sell yourself out to some organization for some grant money, for some stimulus money. And then you wonder how you got yourself into the position that you were in because you took monies that was theirs. And then they can turn around and prosecute you because they get you the contract. So that's what they got you to do. They got you the contract. And then now you're in this position where you have to attack me. So these people that are doing this to me are being made to do it because they're state property. They're just like prisoners that are out. They're actors. These are actors. And they're out in the real world attacking people because they're being told that they have to do it so they can get out of this amount of time and that amount of time and all of this type of stuff. But the movement of Manichaeism is here. The Gnostic movement is here. I'm here to teach the occult. And in the occult, we honor the devil, the Baphomet, and we honor the Most High. You call him Anu, Ilium, whatever you want to call him. We don't say God, though, because God represents a lot of things. But to these people, God to them is gold, oil, and drugs. That's right, gold, oil, and drugs, because he who controls, you notice that gold comes from the earth, oil comes from the earth, and dope comes from the earth. They want you to think that this stuff is bad, but they regulate these things so that they can keep control. All of the other industries that you see going on, whether it's sports, entertainment, none of this can take place unless they have control over the land. And what happens is that they've ran out of money. They've ran out of gold over here in America. They owe the queen. They owe taxes. So now they want to do sacrifices so that they can continue to live in their fuckery. And I'm not going to let you do it. I'm the truth. That's what I represent. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to teach the truth. So I hope that helped you to understand the metaphysical Jesus, Gnosticism, Manichaeism, more fire, more fire, more fire.